Okay, thank you. Good morning. Yes, a change of commodity, the one we love, gold. And also, I see we're the only company that's in Africa. So nice mix of companies presenting to you today. And I'm delighted to be doing so on behalf of my company, Oriole Resources. I am here to give you an investor-focused presentation. There will be technical stuff, yes, but it's very much to demonstrate the strap line on the first slide, which is a fundamentally undervalued, high-quality Africa gold exploration company. The name on the tin says it all. Right, everybody has one of these, and everybody tells you you can read it later at your leisure. Same for me. So I hope this slide isn't too busy. It's the company snapshot. You'll note immediately our lowly market cap, just under £8 million. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will equate the low market cap with my statement that we're grossly undervalued and agree. Every exploration company, every mining company, the core assets, of course, are the projects, the prospects, but most importantly as well is the leadership, the people in charge, making the decisions, moving things forward, selecting the ground. And we would be remiss not to make the claim that we have a great team who've got significant experience in the industry, in Africa in particular. With due modesty myself, you can read my bio in the handout, but just to say I'm a mining engineer with a lot of experience in the gold sector, as well as finance in the city, investor relations, etc. Delighted with me today, I have my chair, Eileen Carr, who's well known to many in our industry. Eileen is highly experienced in Africa, in the mining sector, as well as being our chair. She's also chair of Sylvania Platinum, so it's a great depth of experience that Eileen brings along with me, dare I say it, and the rest of the company. Bob Smeaton, our CFO, years of experience in the AIM sector. Claire Bay, tends her apologies. She was due to attend today, but unfortunately we have had a bit of a sort of pressure on some stuff we've had to sort out. So, but Claire has been involved with the company for many, many years and is our exploration director. And David Pelham, well known to many too, significant experience with major gold discoveries in Africa as a geologist and a very wise head. And then a key person really is our exploration manager in Cameroon, Abdul, who is does so much for us on the ground from the geological point of view, the relationships point of view with the locals, the government regionally and nationally. And although he is Senegalese by nationality, I think we can class him as an honorary Cameroonian. He works very effectively and efficiently to deliver what we need to do in the country. Other things to note, major shareholders, you'll see that we have Lanstead Capital Investors, just under 5%, courtesy of a finance arrangement that the company did some time back, which effectively has seen them reducing their shareholding over some period of time to the current level. And on the basis of the arrangement that we have with them, they will probably reduce that even further. Directors have significant skin in the game, particularly Eileen, with around 6%. And there we are. So, question, why invest in Oriole? Because we're cheap. And I don't mean that in the derogatory sense. I mean it because we're undervalued. We're undervalued. And of course, mining analysis is part art, part science. But thankfully, there's the science part that we can call upon for us because we have published gold resources in JORC category. And that means we can benchmark ourselves against other companies in our sector, and using defendable numbers produced by others, mining analysts and so on, we can see, and I'm going to show you, that we have a lowly market cap just based on the contained gold that we've published. let alone the realistic upside that we have for our core projects, and especially the Mbay flagship project. So you've already heard about the strong leadership, the expertise in gold exploration and mining, and in Africa. And of course, most importantly, we're in the right commodity. Gold is running extremely hot at the moment. Everybody knows why. I won't bore you with all the minutiae of the gold market, but what I will say is that we think that this could be the new normal, this current level of gold price. Okay, who knows what's going to happen in the future? But the world's changed. The world is certainly more volatile, and the peace of mind that gold brings to whether it's private investors or indeed central banks is such that we can't see that changing, certainly for the foreseeable future. The gold price, it's a store of wealth, gold, and if you note the meteoric rise that we've seen in the last few months, but compare the gold price, say, to 1999, a memorable year when Britain made the brilliant decision under our then Chancellor to sell all our gold reserves, or half of them anyway. But the interesting point to make is at that time the gold price was $276 an ounce average sale that was realised. So it's gone up 11 times or so since then. And I think you might want to invest in crypto. I'd rather have a few gold bars under my bed. And we're undervalued. I'm just going to be talking about our gold assets, but we're undervalued based on our legacy assets. And also we have an interesting limestone deposit in called Wapuzi in the northern part of the country. We don't see any value for that or our legacy assets in our current market cap. So to summarise, we've got quality gold assets, highly prospective, established resources with great exploration potential, and of course the whole rationale for any exploration company is to find something that could become a mine. So we certainly believe we have mine development potential. And also to date we've been able to achieve our progress on the back of favourable project and corporate funding. Like all companies, we have an abhorrence of dilution. Of course, I know it's not always possible in any exploration company to progress without some dilution, but certainly from this point on, anything that we can do to progress without dilution is our strong desire. So as a result of the work that we've done in the past, we've brought in BCM International. I'll tell you more about them in a minute. We've got our other partner, Managem, which is with us in Senegal, and I've already mentioned Lanstead, which from our point of view has been a very beneficial arrangement. So when I said it's undervalued based on the back of our gold assets, or we are, again, to give you the key points, we're valued below peer group ratings, whether that be for our projects where we've reported JORC resources. That's at Bibemi, which is our project in Cameroon, and Senala, which is in Senegal. And we've also got the upside for those projects and others significantly discounted. So that's certainly the case for the Mbay project, where we started our maiden drilling late last year. And as I will demonstrate, I hope, in a minute, we've got zero value for our very large, significant landholding in what we call the Eastern CLP, the Eastern Central License Package. And the core assets in the company are in Cameroon, which I'll be talking to you about in a minute. So, first mover advantage in Cameroon. Now, if you'd asked people a few years ago about gold or mining in general in Cameroon, most people would have replied, we haven't got a clue about it, and that would have been quite right because there was very little going on in that country. There were some sort of moderate levels of activity taking place, but it's never been associated until quite recently as a potentially very significant gold producing country. We've made 2 virgin hard rock gold discoveries in the country, one at Bibemi, which had the distinction of reporting the country's first JORC resource, and Mbay, which is, we believe, one with considerable upside potential, which we've moved swiftly to the point where we started the maiden drilling program late last year. and Mbe is within what we call the Eastern CLP, the Eastern Central License Package, totaling some 4,400 square kilometres in what we think is the most prospective part of the country for more gold discoveries to be made. So although we've made those two discoveries, we certainly only scratched the surface and have a very large area to explore. And so next, exploration and development potential discounted. Absolutely. We've got an imminent JORC resource update for the Bibemi project. We've got the development potential pertaining to the exploitation license for Bibemi. And Bibemi is an interesting situation where we were obliged to apply for an exploitation license application due to the tenure of the exploration license sort of really running up against the deadline due to, in part, COVID delays and so on beyond our control. And the government was very keen for us to submit this application, which we've done. And yet we had to wait till we finished, as we now have done, the last phase of drilling to enable us to update the resource and feed that through into the associated technical studies, the environmental social impact assessment work and so on, to be able to furnish those for the government to engage with them, as we anticipate to be doing quite soon, to progress the exploitation licence application to a conclusion. Importantly, for Mbe, we're looking to report in the second half of this year a maiden JORC resource and a JORC exploration target too. We believe that the Eastern CLP will bask reflected benefit from the work that we do at Mbe, where we've got in the Eastern CLP significant anomalies to investigate. And under the agreement with BCM, we will also benefit from any resource-based success payments. So this is a busy slide, and I won't sort of go into too much detail. You can read at your leisure later, but effectively we've just taken the company's current net attributable gold as published for the two projects where we have a JORC resource, for Bibemi and Senala, and used peer group comparable numbers for the ounces contained and multiplied the ounces by an average price of $65 US and come up with a valuation point which shows that the enterprise value for those ounces is $25 million or 19.5 million pounds. If you look at our net attributable position after the BCM earning, and the BCM earning is where they are earning into Bibemi and Mbe to get 50% of each project by spending $4 million on each on exploration. We're operator and they're paying the bills, if you like. And if we look at the net attributable position, that still gives a valuation of about £12.5 million for the current resources. So what we're putting forward is that those resources are obviously as published. There's a significant opportunity for an increase, both at Bibemi and for the maiden resource under JORC for Mbe to be reported in the second half of the year. There's also, as I'll explain later, an opportunity for an increase, a significant one we believe, at Senala. And at the bottom there's a table which gives you a nice matrix courtesy of our broker SP Angel, which they produced in October last year, taking some assumptions on what we might find at Mbe. You can see that they're looking at, certainly goes from 500,000 ounces as an attributable level to us, up to 3 million. It's a range, obviously. Until we've done the work, we won't know for sure, but it gives you an idea of what scale it might be. And you can then take an assumption on the measured, indicated and inferred figure of $65 an ounce, or take a higher one for measured and indicated, etc., and do your own sums. But if you just look at those numbers and do the arithmetic, it comes out certainly at a significant multiple of the current market cap. So, Cameroon. This is going to be a bit of a geography lesson because although you've probably heard of it in the context of the mining sector, you probably haven't dwelled on finding out much more than it's an interesting country sort of sandwiched between West Africa and Central Africa. But it's a very significant country in terms of its strategic importance. It's a bit of a bulwark for the West in terms of what's going on in Central Africa. It's a country which has a very significant population that we can class as enthusiastic, educated to a degree. They are a mix of English speakers and French speakers, courtesy of the colonial days. But the country has a very significant dynamic urge to grow, and they've highlighted the opportunity that the mining sector has as one of the most important, because it's going from a very low base. So it's a nascent mining country. It has, though, some significant projects which are already moving forwards. Bauxite, Oriole Resources has a very significant project which is already been given its exploitation license. It's moving forward, and that will be a significant producer once established. Iron ore, there are 3 major projects in the country that are being progressed by various entities, including Indian-backed entity, the Chinese-backed entity, and indeed a Cameroonian entity. There's also significant potential for copper, nickel, manganese with Phoenix Mining at the Nkumuna mine, and of course we in the gold sector, and we're in a very small group. It's a minority of one probably, certainly to our knowledge, that's conducting significant hard rock exploration. There's modest alluvial mining activity taking place with artisanals and maybe some Cameroonian corporates. So when we first decided to move into the country, it was on the back of a rigorous geological assessment, some very significant work was done to identify the potential of the country, which, as I said, hitherto had been neglected for its gold potential, and yet it was deemed that the geology was favourable, and the company came across the information to enable it to acquire significant land position, which coincided with a World Bank sponsored study subsequently, which also identified the main areas of the country for gold prospectivity. And lo and behold, we'd already picked up a significant amount of that ground. So that was very gratifying. So a bit more detail specifically to our projects. Hopefully the laser point. Okay, so this is the central license package. Yaoundé's the capital, Douala's the commercial capital. Obviously, both have airports, but importantly, we've got the CLP area here. This is Ngouwandéré, which has got an airport with scheduled daily flights near enough. And then we've got Garoua up here, which is near our Bibemi project, also regular scheduled flights. So we're not in the back of beyond, we're in areas which you can get to within a day, whether it be flying in obviously, and then in the case of Mbaye, we're right next to the main road from Ngouwandéré up to Bibemi, and from Garoua to Bibemi is about an hour and a half's drive as well. This area here, the northern part, is strategically important and politically important. There's significant hydroelectric facilities here, so there is power available. Depending on which project we're looking at, Bibemi would have to build a bit of a power line to connect it up. Mbaye, we're very close to power. And the strategic values, as I said, you can see Chad up here. That has significance when it comes to our Wapuzi limestone project, because Chad has a significant demand for limestone, but I'm not going to talk any more about that other than to say it's a good location, Nigeria here. So, underexplored, absolutely. Good infrastructure, yes. A modern mining code, courtesy of work that was done a few years ago. It's a new frontier, and we've definitely got first mover advantage, and we've been given the pick of the country, and we're highly motivated to put Cameroon on the map as a gold producing nation. So the geology looks attractive. We've got a major land holding. We've got our flagship May project within the central license package. We've got the first JORC resource reported on the Bibbermey project. As I mentioned, we've got a partner that's funding the exploration currently to enable us to move these projects forward. So we're in a good place. So a bit of geology, background on Bibbermey. As mentioned, it's the country's first JORC gold resource. It's about a 12-kilometre long mineralised system, and the body is open at depth and along strike. The resource that was reported contained 375,000 ounces of gold, and that's just being updated at the moment and hopefully will be reported upon soon on the back of a drilling program that finished early this year and has enabled us to obviously accumulate more data, and we believe that there'll be a significant benefit from the information gathered and the fact that the model is likely to be run at a more appropriate gold price than the previous JORC resource reported. As mentioned, we've got an exploitation license application in progress. This would be the first significant exploitation license for gold in the country. The government is highly supportive and enthusiastic and has been sort of pushing us hard to engage with them. We've had to sort of rein them back slightly whilst we've been completing the drilling program because, as we've explained, until we've done all the number crunching and fed that through into our studies, we can't be ultra specific on some of the economic model numbers and the technical details. But we anticipate engagement with them in the not too distant future. And there we are. So May, we certainly proudly call our flagship gold project, just based on our expectations. We've already made a significant gold discovery. It comprises the main prospect and then two areas, one to the north, May North, of course, and May South. So we started a maiden drilling program late last year, and that focused on the May South anomaly, which was the one that we deemed to be the most prospective in terms of potential, not to dismiss the northern one, but we just felt that the southern one was the one to drill first. And the drilling decision was based on the back of soil sampling results at the earlier stage, and then subsequently significant trenching, which came back with some excellent results. The trenching over very large widths was very consistent and very confirmed the anomaly area in significant degree. So when we started the drilling program, the first 6 holes that we've reported to date have all returned to us what is an exceptional number of gold-bearing intersections. So over 325 metres of significant gold mineralisation from, at that time when we announced it, just 2,000 metres of drilling. So what we've got is we've got very large widths of gold mineralisation, which we think potentially will be amenable to a significant bulk tonnage mining operation if we go the full distance on delineating it to obviously feasibility study standard. So the first maiden resource on any project is a very exciting point, and we expect to be able to be doing that in the second half of this year. So, so far things are going well, and we're very pleased with the results. And you can see, although I've just talked about the north and south prospects, we do have some other areas which we'll be looking at later when we've got the capacity to do so. And as far as the northern target is, we'll be making some decisions on the drilling there when we've completed the maiden program at the southern prospect. So you can see on this slide that May is this square here, and that's the May prospect I've just described. So all of this is just the eastern portion of the CLP. We have some western licenses here, but as far as the eastern area, these are gold anomalies that have already been identified by us. So you can see we've got several. We think that this is a significant trend of gold mineralisation, and hence these are highly prospective areas that should have great exploration upside and will start to, we believe, attract interest from the industry on the back of what we can show we've got here. So we're very focused on maximising the value of the land holding and moving it forward in the not too distant future. And if we can go on what we've got at Mbe in our mind, then they have the potential for certainly 1 million ounce plus discoveries, which would certainly put the country on the map. Changing country now to Sonala, which is a project that we've had for some time, and it's a project that we have in partnership with Managem, which is a major Moroccan mining company. They're already building a very big mine in the southern part of the country called Boto. That's due to start production middle of this year. And Managem has had ownership of several other exploration areas in the country. And Senegal is attracting a lot of interest from the majors. It's already got some significant activity taking place in mines. And indeed, Managem itself recently announced a deal with Barrick, which used to be Barrick Gold, now it's Barrick Mining. And they have done a deal on the Managem exploration projects, whereby in partnership with Barrick and Barrick's money, they're looking to evaluate this exploration property. And to give an idea of the prospectivity that Barrick sees in the country, they've committed to spend $22.5 million over 7 years on these properties to, as they have said, discover, prove up at least 2 million ounces, beg your pardon, of gold. That's the sort of public figure. No doubt they've got a much higher figure in mind. Being Barrick, they're not going to play around with small fish. So we like working in Senegal. As you've heard, our country exploration manager is Senegalese, so we have very connections and understanding of the country through him. And where we are at the moment is we're in the process of finalising the next steps with Managem, where they've now earned in to a significant interest in the property, circa 59%, and we're in discussions about the joint venture agreement for going forward with us. And we think that this property, this project, has excellent potential for getting some significant uplift in terms of the JORC resource. In the past, significant amount of extra data was generated from drilling that hasn't been incorporated in the maiden JORC resource figures. And indeed, of course, at the time, the pit shell was run using $1,800 per ounce gold, so certainly a more appropriate gold price. And the extra data, in our mind, only means one thing, that there should be, as a result, a significant uplift on what we have to date, let alone any further exploration work which is being planned with Managem. So one to watch, and one that we have huge excitement over. So to summarise, this is an important year for Oriole. All exploration companies, of course, to a degree control the pace of what they're doing, but sometimes things take a bit longer or whatever circumstances change. But this most definitely is a significant year for the company, because everything's coming together very nicely for a lot of news flow, a lot of catalysts that we believe will trigger re-ratings, obviously based on good news, and we're optimists. So in summary, at Bibemi, as you've heard, we're looking for an updated mineral resource estimate in the current quarter. That will be accompanied with some update on the work that we've been doing on the technical side, and commentary on the exploitation license application, etc. And then the flagship project, Mbe, the maiden drilling program is ongoing, but we're confident that we'll be in a position to have a maiden mineral resource estimate and an exploration target under JORC reported in the second half of this year. And then we'll be in a position to make some decisions on what we do next, in particular the northern prospect, which has great upside as well as the southern one. The Eastern CLP I've talked about, the excellent opportunity there for replicating what we hope will be significant success at Mbe, the fact that that should start to attract majors to see what we're doing. And one of our big selling points is that companies that are active in Africa have a shrinking number of countries which they can look to grow their business. Some countries are completely off limits now in Western Africa, and it's our job, working with the government as hard as we can, to sort of promote Cameroon, which we do readily because obviously it's in our vested interest to do so. But we certainly believe that by educating the industry, telling them about what we've got, what we see the potential, we'll start to get some real traction with these companies, and they can recognise that this is a great opportunity for them to get into a country that's welcoming, has great prospectivity, and we think is going to be going places, not just in the gold sector, but for other minerals as well. So that's all to play for. And then Senala, as you've heard, in Senegal, it's a country with significant mining interests for gold already, and we look forward to reporting on our agreement there with Managem very soon. So to reinforce the message, if you haven't picked it up already, we're fundamentally undervalued. We're a high quality company, and this is a good time to be looking at us. So thank you for your attention.